Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. In this video today I'm going to be showing you how to create a photorealistic environment. This one here is the Nordic coastline. We will start off by creating our own brand new project, creating a new landscape, adding some lighting, and then making the most of the free asset library from Fab. Everything in this project will be free to use and you can follow along at your own pace. Grab a cup of coffee and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we could create a blank project, but we're actually going to use the third person template so we can use the player as a reference. We'll wait for this editor to start back up and I will show you what I'm about to do. So basically what I've done is I have pre-downloaded this Dark Ruins sample, which is here, and I'm basically going to add it into these project files, right? So let's go to Unreal Projects and I'm going to go to Dark Ruins and content, and I'm going to select all of this apart from these because I don't actually need these anymore. Like that. I'm going to copy these. You won't have these, don't worry about that. And then we're going to go back into here. We're going to look for the one we just made, YouTube, content. And we're going to press Control and V to paste all this stuff in here. Now, while that's all downloading, well, that's all like copy and pasting into there, we can change a few settings. So we are in a fresh project, as you can see. If we go here, we're in that YouTube one, right? Let's create a new level for starters. Empty level, create, and now we have absolutely nothing. Let's just add some lights in by going to Window, going to Environmental Light Mix, Create Skylight, Directional Light, Sky Atmosphere, Volumetric Cloud, and Height Fog. On here, we can actually scroll down to the bottom once we've added them all and click Volumetric Fog on like this, and that is looking good. We're going to select, zoom out, drag all this all the way up so we don't have to mess about with any of that anymore. Here we are in a brand new fresh level with nothing in, and all we can do now is add a landscape. So let's go to landscape. You can also press Shift and 2 to have a shortcut. We don't actually need it this big, I don't believe, so we're going to go 31 doesn't matter, whatever your preference is. Press create, and here we are. We now have a fresh landscape and we can sculpt it if we wanted to. We can actually make some riverbeds by holding shift. So if we click to make mountains, we can press shift to make the riverbeds, make some more ramp mountains around the side, just like this, and a couple in the background if you wanted to. But to be honest, I don't think this is what we're going to be doing. Well, that's basically how easy it would be, right? So that's the basic gist of it. And there's a couple of tools as what I go through. So if we hold left click, we can sculpt here and we can make stuff like pop out the ground, yeah? If we hold shift, it does the complete opposite. It flattens it and, yeah, basically makes like a little, like a riverbed, I would call it. Yeah, so let me just undo a few things. The erase tool, hello? What the fuck is going on? There we go. Right, so the erase tool will basically put everything back to normal, whether it was high or low. So if the ground was higher or lower, it would just do the exact, it would just basically put it to the beginning. Let me just sculpt some more. Let me make this like this. If you wanted to, we could actually smooth out this so it's not as bumpy anymore. As you can see, the peaks are getting a lot smoother. You can actually just completely flatten it, and basically what you do with the flatten tool is, so if I select it from this point here, this height, it will flatten it towards this height, right? So if I go like this, it'll make everything else just this height like that, and we can do something like that, yeah. And if I was to select it from here, this height, it will flatten everything, including this, to the exact same height, just like that. Okay, now we have a ramp. Not going to mess around with the ramp, it's well confusing for me. Off ramp. Get rid. And then we have erosion, which simulates like landfall, I do believe. And we have hydro, which simulates the water erosion. Okay, so they're just a few tools that you can use. You can sculpt your landscape like this. I will not be doing that because we don't need to yet. So let me just erase all this, and we want a nice flat landscape, yeah? And I'll show you why I'm doing this way round in a second. Okay, so let's go back to selection and press Control plus space. And let's click Save All. Right, okay, so we've got some more settings that we need to change. Game mode override. We're going to change this to the third person game mode, just so we can click play and like, actually run around with our character. And then we're going to go into the project settings, scroll down, project settings, just like this. Then we're going to go into the maps and modes, just like that. And we're going to change this third person map to, I think I renamed it YouTube, didn't I? Or did I even, no I didn't, it was untitled, like this. Yeah, I'm just going to rename it that one. So let's just select the untitled one in here and change it to that. So every time we open up this project now, it will open up to our untitled map. I should have renamed it something really, but oh well. Now, I think we're just about done copy and pasting all the files into here. So I'm just going to click replace and we'll basically just wait for this. So I'm just going to skip all these. Come on. What is going on? Okay, let's just close the edit while we do this. So I think that's what's taking ages. Yeah, it is. Right, sweet. We can now open up the editor again. So let's go to Epic Games Library. And we're going to launch YouTube one. This one we just made. Okay. And now we should have all the Dark Ruins files in. And if you want the Dark Ruins, it is on Fab. You just need to launch Fab and then look in your library for Dark Ruins. And it should be a library and it'll be in here somewhere. Dark Ruins Megascan sample. Okay, sweet. That's all good. And you will know it's worked if it's changed the background picture on your project. Okay, okay, so we're back in the editor. What do we need to do now? Well, I want to add a plane underneath this landscape here, right? And this landscape, if I look at the size, it is that just 100, 100, 100? Let's see. So let's just add a plane, right? So we're going to go cut this little square here, shapes, plane, just like this, and then change this to location to 0, and then 100. And it's definitely not 100, is it? Can't remember what we made it. 300. 200, 250. I'll do. I think. Yes, it's about 250. So let's actually just make this 200 so we don't get no like weird stuff around the edges. Now we have our landscape, which can hide like this, and then we have our plane. And what we're going to be doing is making the plane water, and this landscape is going to be some like kind of rocky surface. Basically using the landscape tools to dip below this surface, exposing the water. Okay, so it's future me here, and I feel like I didn't explain that properly, so I'm going to give you a extremely detailed diagram on what I mean. Okay, this is our scene. Here's the sun, right? And we now have our plane, which our plane is, let's say it's here, right? This is going to be filled with our water texture, right? So let's just make this blue. Show you what I mean, right? Sun, here's our plane, right? So where's our landscape? Our landscape is like here. It's on the layer above, right? And this, let's just make this grey. Yeah, something like that. Like that'll do, right? This is our landscape layer, right? Where the rock's going to be. And what we want to do is take this here and dip below it, right? So if I go like this and I press this and warp like this, right? This is basically what we're going to be doing. We're going to be dipping the landscape below the surface just so that we can expose some of the water, right? Like this. This is basically how I'd explain it, but it's probably better if I just show you. Yeah? Right, sweet. I did it this way, okay? It'll make more sense in a minute. So let's just hide this landscape. And we're going to go into here, into materials, and then custom. And I think it's one of these. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of these water materials that I was using. Puddle. Let's try this one. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to be using that. And we can change a load of the values to make it more see-through around the edges and stuff like that. Okay, now we have a big fat landscape on top of it. And what do we need to do? We need to actually go back to the selection mode, landscape, and we're going to do exactly what I said earlier. Okay, so let's just have a little look at what we're going to be doing. And if I click on sculpt and I hold shift, we can now expose this water underneath, and you can see it looks pretty sick. Like that looks really nice actually. Okay, so what we want to be doing is just like kind of sculpting around. Oops, we want to be sculpting around, and you can use all your little tools that I showed you earlier, like the hydro, the erosion, everything basically, and just sculpt out your landscape. What I would recommend though, before you mess about with any of that, is, let me just undo this stuff. It'd probably be easier to click erase like that, right? What I would recommend doing is, if you are creating a scene, you should probably set up a camera first. So let's actually do this. Selection mode, and then we're going to go right here, and we're going to go, where is it? Cinematic, Cine Camera Actor. We're going to place this camera just about 180 degrees in this direction, and we get this like nice view of our plane. So let's move it up. Basically, do whatever you want. Just try and fit it as best you can. I'm gonna move this to 5 degrees and just move it down 5 degrees like this, so we get a nice horizon in the background. Okay, and then what you can do is click here on the camera. We can click the pin to pin it to a viewport, and now when we click off it, it's always there, right? And also, if you click an object and press F, it'll snap you to that object. So if we click directional light here, it'll snap us to that, and if we click something in here, like the Cine Camera Actor, it snaps us back. Now, we don't want to move this, we don't want to be changing this camera, so let's right click, and we're going to go to transform and lock actor movement, just like that. Now, as you can see, we can move the landscape. We can never move this camera, so it'll always be in this position until we actually want to move it, right? Sweet. Another thing you can actually do as well, if you wanted to, you can kind of find a place where if you don't want to use a camera, you can find a place where it looks kind of good. So like here with the horizon here, and you can press Control and 1, and that'll save a bookmark in the right bottom corner. Now, if we go to this angle, we do it a bit higher like that, press Control 2, and then we do a low ground one, and we press Control 3. We can actually press 1 to get that one, 2, and 3, and then we get 3 different viewports, and that'll save no matter what. Okay, sweet. So let's actually carry on and get some stuff done, because we're still staring at a blank, boring map. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to sculpt out this like water body in the middle, and then we're going to add rocks around, and it's going to look pretty cool. So let's do that. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I need to move the plane up a little bit, because it's way too deep, like this, just like that. Let's go back to landscape mode, and we're just going to be changing some stuff around here. So let's do that, something like that, and then we'll actually sculpt this and bring some of it back up. Change the strength down a little bit, and let's just move up some of this. I want to make it a little bit more narrow. Do that, and then we can smooth it using this brush, and we can actually just move over for a better view. Okay, sweet. So let's keep going with this. I'm actually going to smooth. I might actually erase this bit just like that, and then we'll redo this one. So erosion makes it dip. So let's erode some of this like that, like that. And I want it to look like it's going off into the distance, so it's quite far away. Okay, good. And then I reckon about here is where we actually call it. We will sculpt, make the brush quite big, turn down the strength a little bit. We'll just make this into the actual horizon that we were wanting, just like that. And if you want to add some like lumps and bumps or whatever, you can just do that by changing the brush size, and then just basically raising some of the surface just so it doesn't look as like plain. Let's make do with that. I'm just going to go around this edge very, very carefully and just bump it up a little bit where the sand would be. So as you can see, I'm just raising the side of the riverbed like that. And if you don't like anything, you can just press Control and Z to undo it, or you can just use the brushes that I made in Unreal. Lovely. Do that a bit. Want a little bit of, don't want it to look too uniform and too like, I don't know the word. Okay, right, whatever, that word, that'll do. Next, what I want to do is go to selection mode again and select this ugly surface, and we're going to look for a landscape material. Now in this Dark Ruins one, I'm pretty sure there's an amazing material, and I think it is a material instance. I have been playing around with this like for the last 2 days, so yeah, you'll have to just bear with me. It is not that one, it's a material instance, I swear it is. This one, and then is it like, it's some kind of rock. Is it gravel, stones? Yeah, what is it? Is it this one? What the fuck is that? Shit. I swear it was called gravel. Is it this one? Could be that one. It had tessellation. Here it is. This one. This is the bad boy that we want. So this material here doesn't look like much really, to be honest, but it looks amazing when it's actually on. So let's select the landscape. And with this highlighted in the content browser, we're actually going to go to landscape material and click this little plus. And now we get this beautiful, like, rocky, sandy terrain. And now we've got something we can actually work with. This looks so sick, by the way. Now, if you're annoyed by these lines, like I usually am, you can actually go to one of these and type in grid. I think it's this one. Nope, it's not. Grid. Like, I just disable the grid. Now we get a better view. Our amazing water and our amazing sandy terrain, okay? Now the light's hitting it as well, we can actually see a little bit more, and I kind of want to make this a little bit more bumpy, so I'm just going to go ahead and quickly do that. Like that. I'm not doing anything special here. I'm literally just freehanding this. Give it a little bit of a raised surface. Like that. I think that'll do it for now. Okay, so we've got this beautiful landscape here, and what do we need to do next? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start building out the scene, and I just want a quick point of reference, and this is why we use the third person character blueprint, right? What is that? That's not supposed to mean that, so let's just get rid of him. Yeah, let's just add him for reference, and that looks kind of close to what we are wanting, to be honest. And once we add this in, obviously we have a camera attached to him, so we could actually just pin both of these, but we're not going to do that. I just wanted to have a quick little look and see what it looked like. Okay, so sweet. Let's build up some rocks in the background, and let's make this scene a little bit more appealing. So if we go back to content browser and we go to these three lines here and select reset fillers, and then do it again, and we're going to select static mesh, and then we're going to click on MS inside the content folder, and now we have all these amazing assets that we can use. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a program called Pure Ref, and this is an amazing little program where we can actually pin images such as this one, which I created on ChatGPT, to desktop like this, right? So if we zoom in, this hovers all the way. So if we click off it like that, it'll never go away. Okay, you just pin it like this, and you can just, it's good for reference. If you don't have two monitors, I actually do have two monitors, so I'm not going to use it, but I just wanted to show you that, and it's a free little tool. So I'm going to put this on my other monitor and just keep this as a reference. So let's just add these like Nordic cliffs, massive coastal cliff, Nordic ones. What do we actually want? I guess it doesn't really matter too much because it's not really going to be in view that much. So we've got this massive cliff, and one thing that you need to remember with this, right, is if we just looked at this screen now, this looks kind of cool, yeah, and we actually will be getting somewhere very, very shortly, yeah. If we had something like this, right, and if we look at the other side, like that's all it is, really. And we're only interested in what's inside the viewport, inside the camera's focus. So everything outside really, really doesn't matter. And I just wanted to reiterate that point. And also here we are again. If we're pressing 1, 2, and 3, we can change our views. That's why that's useful. So let's carry on building this scene that we've got going on here, and then we'll change some other stuff. And I'm actually going to delete this one, rotate something like, and then sink this into the ground. Maybe something like this. And then we'll do that, and then we'll rotate, change the scale, because we always want variation in the scenes. So let's change the scale, make this one really far away. This is basically, I'm pretty sure I'm going to use this as like some kind of silhouette, like that, looking good. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm building out the scene, right? And my main focus is here in the background. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use these as a silhouette, right? Then this is going to be like the middle ground, and then we're going to get like something closer. And this just adds a little bit of depth. So we'll add like fog over the back ones here. And then maybe we'll focus on these ones, and then we'll have the close rocks. For example, if we had like something like this in front of the camera, this would be completely out of focus right now. So we'd have this one out of focus, this one in focus, and then the others as like maybe like a silhouette and out of focus with fog. And that's how you build depth, as far as I know. So I'm actually going to leave that there because that'll look pretty cool. So I'm just feeling a little bit kind of naked, and I just want to change this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and position this kind of where we've got the camera. And I want a little bit more space, so I'm going to press Control+1 and then unpin this. And now when I move away, as I said before, we can just snap back to it, right? So this is going to be our camera view for the time being. So it's feeling a little bit naked on the sides, and I want to add something inside the water. Okay, so let's look for these like ground patches that we have here. And did I use the Nordic? Let's just type in Nordic. Pretty much everything's Nordic. Okay, great. And see these like ground ones? I'm going to use some of these, right? So let's just have a look here. And if we just plonked this, it wouldn't look very good. But we can actually put this and submerge it under the water. And if we change the scale, something like this, and plonk it under the water, we get this like nice rocky effect with the water caustics over the top. You know what I'm saying? So let me just select this again. Try and move it tight. I'm just going to turn off all this snapping like that, because I want some of it coming out of the water, some under, like submerged. And this is the before, and if we do this, that's the after. Right? You can just see it adds like a lot of depth to the scene. Right, okay. Now we're going to add some side rocks and some other things like that. So I'm just going to drag maybe another boulder like this, and this one, and we're going to start building up the scene. So what I'm going to do now is I'm basically just going to be dragging and dropping a load of stuff. So yeah, I'll probably fast forward this, but that's basically the gist of what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I'll be back in a minute. Right, okay, so I'm pretty happy with what I have now. I've just scattered some rocks and just kind of broke up the scene a little bit. Obviously, it's still looking pretty good, and we will probably have our camera view something like this. And basically, what I was noticing is that some of these rocks are obviously near the water. Like this one here, just looks dry. So I'm actually gonna go into this. And as long as it's a material instance, you're able to change the wetness. So you can just go into shore wetness here. We'll change this, and I'll show you the difference. Okay, we'll go here and scroll down, shore wetness, and you can see at the top, it's actually adding this kind of wet surface onto it, and you should add like some more reflections, and yeah, looks pretty good. So let's just mess about with some of these values. Base color, we can actually just change the color of the wetness on the top if you wanted to, maybe like a blue, but honestly I kind of think that looks a bit fake, so let's not do that. You can change the contrast of the color like this, but we don't really need to do that, and that's just basically how you would do it if you wanted to. Yeah, sweet. So what should we do next? Right, okay, so I'm feeling like I want to break up the scene a little bit, and I kind of want to add something like a focal point. So I was thinking maybe we could add a big plot of land. Excuse me, a big plot of land like this, for example. Like, let's just do this. And then if we go to this, let's just experiment a second. Like this. This is just a test. Like that. Let's just build like some kind of weird structure. And then press Ctrl and G to group, make it bigger. Let's go back to our viewport. Move it backwards. Sweet. So now we have a focal point, and let's create kind of something to look at. So this would be a very good time to actually click our camera and pin it like this, and we can actually go right click, transform, and change that to unlocked. Rotate the camera so we can actually see. Let's pin that there. Right, okay. Now let's change the angle of this, maybe something like that, and then we're going to add some walls. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm just experimenting. We'll see how it looks. Let's change this to local space, and just like this, and let's actually just build out the rest of this house. And then we can give it a roof, I guess. Actually a fireplace, but it doesn't really matter. We're just getting creative right now. Let's do this, and I kind of want it to look a little bit janky, and we can just copy this, rotate it, and move it up like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And let's copy these two, drag them here. I'm going to leave a massive hole in the roof, and then kind of the rest of it like that. Something like this. Okie dokie. Right, that's kind of what we could, that's kind of something we could do. And let's just select this, and let's select all of these. What I'm doing now, I'm just holding Control or Shift, and selecting each one of these. Let's just test. No, still forgetting a few. To this one. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh my god. Just stuck. this. Was it this one? This one? This one? Right. Okay, that should be good. Now we'll control G. Should be able to move everything like that, right? So let me just hide this group actor because I've got another idea. And like I said a minute ago, we want to break this up because it's looking a little bit boring. And we're actually going to select all three of these. Let's just put them here for now. Rotate them 90 degrees. So we are facing the camera. And we're going to go select 1, 2, 3, like this. I'm going to make this one a lot bigger. This tiny bit bigger. This one a tiny bit bigger as well. I'm not really sure what this is meant to be, but we're going to see what it looks like because I just had we'll see what it looks like because I just had a little idea in my head. So let's change this and move it back into. I think we're going to make it a lot bigger. Maybe something like this. I'm going to move it like. And a lot of this I would say is just like trial and error and trying out like weird new ideas, seeing what you can come up with. It's definitely worth experimenting and see what you can do. And with this one, I want this one to be in the middle, so I'm going to duplicate this. This is going to be the focal point of our scene. We can do something like this, and then maybe every other we take out, and maybe we delete. Move this one closer, this one further back. Can we get this one to peek on the side? I think we can. Okay, sweet. So we're getting this like weird kind of scene. I'm just making up off the top of my head, and maybe we'll put some right in the distance as well to make it look like it goes on for miles, for example. Oops. So let me just undo that. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're going to hold Alt on the keyboard and drag like this, and that'll put them all in the distance. Let's drag a few more, make some closer, put them miles away, like. And now we get this really, really cool kind of weird thing on the beach. Yeah, basically, yeah. Right. So let's actually just change the camera. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit with this camera, like this, because I really want to get this rock in the scene. And we can actually change the focal length to maybe 30, and that'll give us a little bit more of a view, something like this. I just want that to be dead center, right? Okay, so what should we do now? I think a lot of this land kind of looks a little bit plain, so how can we break that up? We could actually maybe some stuff like this. Generally, you don't really have grass on a beach, though, do you? So I guess this could be like seaweed or something like that. And like I said before, I'm just kind of like messing about right now. Move it 90 degrees, rotate it kind of this way, and we'll have this stuck inside the sand like that. Yeah, kind of cool. Is there anything else? Oh, what we could actually do, we could add some of these columns that are stuck inside the floor, like they've fallen over kind of like this, like that. And you can see there's a little bit of a problem here with this material. We can actually fix it quite easily. Let's go into here, into the material, and just search for two-sided, and then I'll show you in real time what it does. As you can see, we can see right through the material. If we click two-sided like this and select yes, now we have a two-sided material like that. Get this up a little bit, like sweet. Is there anything else we can break up the ground with? Let's make one big, rotate, and do a load of little smaller ones by just doing this. Oops, like that. Make sure you just rotate and change the scale on them, just so it adds a little bit of variation. That is the best way to do this kind of stuff. Let's do that. Select all of them, and we're going to drag while holding Alt again. It just ran off. Let's change the scale again. And now we can keep selecting, or we can press Control and G to group everything up, and now we have groups of boulders and stuff. I think I'm just going to chuck a load of these down the shore just to break up this environment a little bit. Okay, sweet. Right, so I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and play around with the directional light and some of the lighting on here. And one thing specifically that I actually do want to do is change, and I'm going to see if I can add a light and a spotlight onto here, see if this can actually make a difference onto this mesh. As this is the focal point of our scene, I really do want to make sure that this is really, really noticeable in all the details. So I'm not just going to have it like straight on, I actually want it on an angle. And you should probably do this from where the sun is, but it is what it is, and I just want to catch some details. That's all really I'm doing it for. So let's do this, rotate it to catch the shadows. Be a little bit too harsh, let's move it back a bit. And another thing that's just caught my eye is No, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so the last thing I want to do basically is change the directional light, and we can see how it alters the scene. Like we could have something like this. Let's find our point lights, or spotlights, sorry. Turn these two off like that. Why is that so bright? Okay. Yeah. So here we have a little scene, and I will show you what you can do to... No, actually. Okay, that should do it for this one. Now, let's create a level sequence. And we'll create a new shot. Shot 1. And then we're going to add a camera into the scene. So let's just drag this camera here, like that. We can pilot it from here. And this is kind of the view we've got. Any changes you make while this little blue button is selected, it will actually change the camera in your scene. So let me just have a little look where I want to position this. And it looks really, really close, actually. And here is basically what I'm doing here is, do you remember before, and like at the start of the video when I said I wanted to blur this like kind of start bit and then have this in focus? We can actually do this right here. So if I go to the camera here, the cine camera actor, and I go to focus and focus method manual and select this little eyedropper, we can focus anything in our scene. So if we click this, it focuses this. If we select this, it'll focus this. Do you know what I mean? It looks pretty cool. So what I will do is I will put a keyframe right about... Can I just key all? I think I can just key all. I'm not sure though. Okay, let's just do it. Let's do this. Find a nice spot where we want to be. And basically, we don't actually need to do that. I just want to do this one here. So transform. So we're here. And let's change this to 60. And let's go right to the end. And then we're just going to move it forward slightly like this. And this will add a new key. So this is where we are now. And this is where we started. And if we just click play, as you can see, this is out of focus. And the water is kind of in focus. And then we have this here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Maybe we can just cut down a little bit. Yeah, like that. That should do it. Beautiful. Right, now if we wanted to render this, we can just click here, render, and to be honest, what I usually do is I usually have a preset where I can just use my own preset, but just for something like this, it's just a little short clip. I'm actually just going to use 60 and then 4K, and if you use compression, if you can turn this off, it'll make a massive difference to your file size. So let's just capture it, and it'll capture between the green and the red, and we can see what we've made in a minute. Right, okay, so let's see what we have gone and created. If we open up our containing folder, double click here, this is our final render. Well, I say final render, it's not quite our final render because I've still got work to do on this project. Hopefully you learned something new in this video. It's took me a long time, probably a week to record this because I've been learning all the stuff for myself. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.